So imagine that you have a conversation with a person who prides himself on being open-minded, and imagine that you ask him whether he could imagine himself torturing other people. And of course, him being open-minded, he will answer, let's suppose, he will answer that no, he wouldn't be able to torture others because he would understand those people, and he could be able to place himself in the shoes of them. So he would be capable of understanding, and he wouldn't feel it necessary to commit himself to such a vile act. And if this person says this, you can then wonder to what a significant degree he overestimates the power of a particular mind against its circumstances and underestimates the power of conditions and circumstances that can shape the way the mind works or flows and shapes the way the individual behaves. So in this video I would like to talk about our sense-making capacity and how it can be compromised by certain situations or conditions that envelop the mind that has the sense-making capacity. I hope it's meaningful so far. So let's say that the mind is a process that, in order to bring forth a meaningful word for us, has to reticulate or knit or weave experience into meaningful structures, into a sensible domain. And in order to do that, it abstracts regularities that it perceives and telescopes or channels experience to cognitive passageways or vessels, or into a kind of a vascular system that will then furnish our sense-making capacities. And these vessels can be regulated or truncated or fostered or filled. Imagine they can be filled with the contents that are effectuated or implemented by social or ideological circumstances. So experience is infused and or pumped into the veins or circuits of sense. And to further aggravate my mixed metaphors, let's say that these circuits have psychosomatic lining. To summarize what I have rambled on so far, that I would say that the sense-making capacity that we have and its vascular richness or poorness is contingent on the circumstances that envelop the mind. When, for instance, an agenda, like a religious or scientific dogma, or a specific purpose that derives from an agenda, streamlines this reticulate flow of the mind and truncates its side branches into which this circuit could distribute itself in a diffuse manner. When the process of the mind is chiseled or snagged into a specific end, perception is compromised. And it's the range of the circuits of sense it possesses is constrained, and the telescoping of experience is really narrowed down, and it is narrowed to a point where it is almost only a function satisfaction mechanism. So let's say a function is when an individual acts a role in order to fulfill the purpose. So he has the function of achieving something. And this is the case in binary thinking, for example, when a suicide bomber who is trained to think in a way that will justify his acting in a way where he places himself with an us against a them. His function is playing the role of the us, or the individual who belongs to the us, and annihilate those who are against us, them. But when, on the contrary, when circumstances are not oppressive, or yes, like this, but more propitious for creativity, and that means we have the necessary supplies, we have enough food, we have enough technology, we have enough freedom, then individuals can graft new branches onto this vascular system of sense and distribute its content and nurture an aesthetic, appreciative character of perception, besides the fundamentally functional character of perception. And this aesthetic character could be defined or described as an experience that is not hijacked by a certain mindset, but utilized as wind, when experience is utilized as wind for the sails that we hoist up as we go along. And when experience runs in diffused circuits in a mind, there is an amplification of our sense-making capacity, because we are not prone to be reflexively judgmental or black and white in our interpretations of situations or other people. We become more speculative and explorative and appreciative. We have an aesthetic relation to other people and to situations, not a functional one, merely. So once again, circumstances can facilitate as well as hinder